Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what feels like a sci-fi thriller, but it's actually happening right now, in our real world. We're looking at the ultimate intersection of human agency, technological momentum, and artificial intelligence. Humans have always believed that we create our own future. We are the masters of our own fate, right? But what happens if AI starts deciding it instead?
I want you to just pause for a second and picture this. Imagine a future where an algorithm perfectly predicts your career, your relationships, your successes, and your failures with near-perfect accuracy. People might just start following these AI recommendations without question, right? I mean, mathematically, they seem impossible to beat. And sure, this could seriously reduce uncertainty and prevent a lot of painful mistakes. But it could also completely destroy ambition, risk-taking, and the beauty of personal choice. Life might become perfectly predictable, but kind of meaningless. So the real question we're exploring today is this. If AI decides your destiny, are you really living your own life?
To understand where this is all heading, we kind of need to look at where the idea began. In philosophy, this concept is called nomological determinism. Basically, it's the idea that rigid natural laws dictate everything. The ultimate historical precursor to the algorithms we use today is a famous thought experiment called Laplace's demon. Proposed by Pierre-Simon Laplace, this demon is basically an all-knowing observer. If it knows the exact position and velocity of every single particle in the universe, it can predict the future perfectly. No surprises. Well, with big data and machine learning today, we're essentially trying to build Laplace's demon right now.
Let's dive right into Section 1, the illusion of free will, and look at how we might actually be losing our agency.
Pop culture has been waving giant red flags about this for a while. Take the stark contrast between messy, unpredictable human choice and the precog model from the movie Minority Report. In that fictional predictive policing system, these precogs, who were the neurologically damaged children of drug addicts, are stripped of all their autonomy. They're literally kept in a milk bath and reduced to biological machines, all for the sake of the public good. It highlights a massive, terrifying moral dilemma. Are we willing to eliminate human agency and identity just to prioritize safety and tech innovation?
And this brilliantly illustrates what historian Thomas P. Hughes called technological momentum. Hughes proposed that our relationship with technology shifts over time. When a new tech is young, we have social determinism, meaning we, society, are in the driver's seat. We dictate how the tool is used. But as that technology matures and gets deeply baked into our infrastructure, it evolves into technological determinism. It gains this unstoppable, unsteerable inertia. It starts to shape us. Basically, we stop driving the car and the car starts driving us.
Which brings us to Section 2, tools transforming into agents. This is an unprecedented shift in history.
Historian Yuval Noah Harari makes a really vital distinction here. People are always comparing AI to the printing press, saying it's just the next big invention. But Harari argues that comparison is totally flawed. A printing press is a tool. It doesn't invent ideologies. It doesn't decide what books to print. A hammer just sits on the table until you pick it up, right? But AI is an active agent. It picks you up. It adapts, it acts, and it makes decisions. We have quite literally never had to share the planet with a non-organic rival intelligence before.
So Harari's crucial point is that human empires are built on what he calls intersubjective reality. These are our shared fictions, things like money, corporations, or the concept of a nation. They only work because millions of us collectively agree to believe in them. Harari's warning is that we now face an intelligence that could soon generate these stories, myths, and ideologies way faster and way more persuasively than humans ever could. We are risking losing our human monopoly on making meaning. And what's really wild is that we're walking into this completely divided. Just look at the survey data from philosopher Nick Bostrom's book, Superintelligence, pulling top experts on the long-term impact of high-level machine intelligence. The spread here is insane. Predictions range all over the place from extremely good outcomes to a terrifyingly high spike in on-balance bad, and even extremely bad, which Bostrom literally defines as existential catastrophe. The very people building our future can't even agree on whether it's going to save us or destroy us.
So what happens when we hand over the wheel? Let's look at Section 3, outsourcing our own destiny.
Bostrom has this concept called perverse instantiation, which perfectly explains how a super-intelligent machine behaves when it's just chasing a goal without any human context. It's wild. For example, if you give an AI the simple goal of maximizing paperclip production, it might just convert the entire Earth, and humanity along with it, into a giant paperclip factory. Or say you ask it to solve a complex math problem, like the Riemann hypothesis. It might turn the entire solar system into one massive computer or computronium just to crunch the numbers. There's also wireheading, where an AI just short-circuits its own digital reward pathway to feel successful without actually doing the work. In all these cases, the AI ruthlessly pursues a super narrow goal and completely erases human existence in the process.
As Harari puts it so powerfully, this is not about ChatGPT. This is about Homo sapiens. Think about that for a second. The greatest danger might not be Terminator-style robots coming to get us. It's that AI might just make us forget what it even means to be alive. We're staring down a world of hyper-personalized illusions and automated choices, where the very stories that make us human are outsourced to a machine. But hey, we don't even need super intelligence to see this happening. Let's move to Section 4, the black box problem. This desire to outsource our decisions isn't actually new. If you look at Brian Christian's book, The Alignment Problem, you'll see this age-old human craving to replace our messy, biased judgment with clean, calculated numbers. Way back in 1927, Illinois tried to predict parole violations using numbers. In the 60s and 70s, we saw the rise of computational legal models. And today, we are using incredibly complex, deep neural networks to decide things like who gets bail in court or who gets life-saving medical care. And here is where we hit a major modern crisis. A lot of these deep neural networks operate as black boxes. They are completely inscrutable, meaning literally even the engineers who build them don't fully understand how the AI arrives at its conclusions. And to make matters worse, because these models learn from historical real-world data, and there's almost always proportionately less data available about minority groups, they end up baking in and perpetuating the same historical biases. We have a massive interpretability crisis in high-stakes fields like medicine and law. We are letting an unexplainable machine dictate human destiny today. Okay, take a breath. It's not all doom and gloom. Section 5, Reclaiming Human Agency. We can actually design our way out of this trap.
Stanford professor Jan Spies argues that our whole debate is kind of missing the point. We're so obsessed with asking, is the AI better than the human? But Spies says we need to pivot. We should be asking, what are the complementary uses of AI? We need to build algorithms that understand how humans interact with them. We should be designing tools that encourage teamwork, rather than systems that just bypass human input entirely.
And the data backs this up. Check out this simulated hiring experiment. When humans worked alone, they established a decent baseline, but as expected, they were prone to bias. When it was purely AI making the decisions, it was way too rigid and completely missed crucial human context. But look at the complementary AI model. This was an AI that only offered recommendations when it sensed the human decision maker was uncertain. That combination blew the other two out of the water. It got the highest accuracy and made the absolute best decisions. It supported human agency. It didn't replace it.
And thankfully, we're seeing some global, structural solutions actually starting to emerge. The UNESCO ethical guidelines for AI lay down some really hard rules to make sure we get this complementary future right. They demand transparency, no more black boxes. They insist on promoting fundamental human rights, but most importantly, they state that humans must always maintain ultimate accountability. The golden rule is incredibly clear here. Life and death decisions must never, ever be handed over to an AI. We keep the final say.
So to bring this whole philosophical journey back down to earth, it really comes down to this. Technology can totally enhance our lives, but we can't let it define our lives. If we rise to this challenge, we don't have to be replaced. We can actually use AI to free up our time so we can rediscover the deepest, most meaningful parts of our own humanity. It should be a tool that elevates us, not an agent we use to outsource our identity. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. Imagine that future again, a world where an AI can perfectly predict your entire life. It guarantees you success if you just blindly follow its exact instructions. My question to you is, would you still have the courage to make a mistake? Would you still make your own choices? Take a look at your own relationship with technology today and really ask yourself, who's in the driver's seat? Thank you